Let's bring in Dan Bongino, former New York City cop, a former Secret Service guy. He hosts the wildly successful Dan Bongino Show. It's over on CRTV. So, Dan, what do you make of the fact that the president has called up the National Guard? Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, they're ready to send folks. Iowa, Ohio, South Carolina say we're willing, but then you got Montana and Oregon who say, we're not going to help.
Well, the "we're not going to help" part, Steve, is entirely political. It's not based on national security needs or any law enforcement need. This was not a controversial decision when George W. Bush did it in 2006 or when Barack Obama deployed troops to the border in 2010. It's all politics. Remember, border apprehensions are up. There has been a surge of people trying to get into the country, no doubt.
Yeah, the spring surge started early. And by the way, 300,000 people coming annually, that's a problem. I don't care if it's up or down. That's 300,000 that don't belong here. But I got to switch gears if I can and talk about what's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. First, James Comey's book's coming out, and it's going to really inflame a lot of the narratives with this investigation since the 2016 election. And then we have Loretta Lynch, curiously, going to sit down for an interview today to talk about a lot of things, including her tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton. And what she actually said to James Comey. What are you going to be listening for?
I'll tell you, I'm going to be listening for every word out of her mouth because Loretta Lynch should be talking to a lawyer, and so should Jim Comey. They shouldn't be talking to the American public about book sales and interviews. Brian, I believe they may have some very serious criminal liability on potential obstruction of justice charges based on their handling of the Clinton case. But here's a couple of questions for her. Number one, why did you ask them to refer, Jim Comey that is, to the investigation into the Hillary Clinton issue as a matter? It was not a matter. It was an investigation. And secondly, what did you do to authenticate the information that came in on the dossier? The Department of Justice had a role in that in the Woods procedure. What did she do? What did she know? And when did she know it? She may be in real trouble here. Yeah,
and you've got these dueling narratives. You've got her trying to explain on NBC Nightly News tonight her story, her side of the story, and then you got James Comey coming out with his book next week. Neither one of them are under oath on television or in a book, so it will be interesting to see what kind of yarns they're going to spin.
Yeah, but they are public statements, and those statements will unquestionably be used later if they tell a different story under oath later on. That's the important part.
So, we've talked a lot about Twitter, and Twitter has been banning or has gotten a lot of flack for shadow banning conservatives when they retweet and so that other people can't see them. Well, now the CEO, he liked an article that was on Twitter from a publication called Medium. The CEO, Jack Dorsey, he liked this article, which was suggesting that Democrats start a civil war, and he wrote, "Great read." What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm really sick of Twitter. I mean, I have to be there. I'm in the content production arena like Fox is, and I have to be on it. But every minute of it is troubling to me. It is not to steal the liberal snowflake term, it's not a safe space for conservatives anymore. I was banned, guys, from running ads for, quote, inappropriate content. I have no idea what that means. We scoured our Twitter feed. They've never told us what it means. I think PragerU, Dennis Prager's place, had some problem with this, too. You know what inappropriate content is on Twitter for guys like me? Being a conservative. That's what's inappropriate content. It's really, I'll tell you, every conservative out there, start working on an alternate plan because they're going to come after you next.
Well, you're not alone.
Well, Neil Ferguson of the Hoover Institute came out and said Silicon Valley is embarrassed the role they played unwittingly to help Donald Trump get elected, and they're going to overcompensate in the midterms, and look out. And guess what? It's happening.
Yeah, it is happening. Look at that article about Ted Cruz. He has twice the following of Kamala Harris and gets like a quarter of the retweets or something. This is happening, and make no mistake, but be prepared and get ready to build your own platforms outside of the social media space.
What is that about? Is it just the left trying to shut up conservatives?
It's about committing a thought crime, and that's an allegiance to conservative ideology in a liberal Silicon Valley. That's really what it is.
Well, Diamond and Silk, I think, got banned by YouTube because they're unsafe. We're going to be talking to them in about 45 minutes. Dan, thank you very much for joining us today from Palm City down in Florida.